Hey guys, it's me again, Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair. And this is not going to be a demonstration of a finished job. This job actually was worked on by another shop. This unit comes from Todd in California. Let's see if I can find the city. It's in the Walnut Creek area. I think it was La Goyette, California, out of a '66 Mustang. And this was sent to another shop for a conversion, for an FM conversion, and it came back. It didn't come back to me, but it came back to the customer with the 8-track and not able to switch tracks. The other shop didn't have the right part and didn't really know how to make one, and that's kind of understandable because if the original part's not in there, if you've never seen it before, it's impossible to tell exactly what you have to make. But at any rate, that part is no longer available. It's basically just a push rod that transfers the motion of the track change cam up to the head. The track change cam is under the chassis, the head's above the chassis, so there's like a little rod that rests on that track change barrel, and as it rotates, it pushes that rod up or down, which in turn moves the head up or down. Well, that little piece of metal, it's just a little bitty piece of steel that push rod is made of. It looks like a little bitty bullet, basically. It's got a rounded edge. The other shop tried to replace it with this. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer view here. This is basically a piece of a plastic screw. They just broke off a piece of a plastic screw and stuck it down in there, hoping that would fix it. There's no rounded end on this, so it wasn't going to work smoothly, and as a result, it hung up quite a bit. So while I'm on that, now one thing I don't like to do is make another shop look bad, so I'm not going to mention the name of the shop, of course, but I'm also not going to pass up the opportunity to make myself look a little bit better. So here's what's going on with this. Take another look at the unit here. Okay, what the other shop did, first thing is they did not remove all the original electronics. They left these 3 transformers in place, meaning that there is no room to mount. This is the main conversion module here, and this really should be mounted right side up because this output chip generates a lot of heat, and it oh my god, they didn't even put any extra heat sink on here, so they did not put any extra aluminum here to dissipate the heat, and they mounted this thing vertically so that the heat from this output chip is going to rise straight up and heat up that capacitor right there. That's not a good thing. So that's one problem I found. Secondly, the original motor's in place, the original speed board's in place. Now this is the same type of motor used in Chrysler and AMC units. The motors have more than an 80% failure rate, so no unit with this type of motor leaves my shop with the same motor. It's a required part of my conversion. I will not perform a conversion without also replacing the motor because I'm not going to have this thing come back in a few months just to do that. I do it all right the first time. Not that the other shop didn't. It's just that my method is a little bit more conscientious, I think, and a little bit more diligent because they were really just it doesn't hurt anything to leave these old transformers in there, but I remove them so that I can mount this board right side up over here instead of mounting it vertically over there. And then this Bluetooth and USB board goes over there where it's not going to cause any problem. But I really like to have this board mounted right side up. The designer recommends it as well. The designer also very strongly recommends using some additional heatsink material, which this shop did not do. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pop a tape into this thing just to show that I did successfully repair the track change problem. It's not complete yet. This video is mainly to show the customer how much more work is going to be required than what he thought originally. So let's go ahead and turn it on, just so we can show that the. Oh, another thing. There's another thing they didn't do is they did not connect the aux pad to the 8-track. And the result of that is when you pull the tape out, the radio is going to take 20 seconds to come back on. If they would have run just one wire, then the radio would come back on immediately when you remove a tape. The way it is right now, when you remove a tape, there's going to be complete silence. You're going to wonder what's going on here. You're going to crank the volume up, and then when that radio comes back on, it's going to blow you out of the car. So I'm going to correct that. When I'm done with this unit, it's going to come back with the radio coming back on immediately when you pull the tape out. Another thing they didn't do, which may have been something the customer didn't really want anyway, is because of where they mounted things and because they didn't remove the original output transformers, there's really no room to mount a pair of aux jacks. So this unit currently has no aux input. The 8-track is the only aux input this radio has. It does not allow you to connect an external aux source. I'm not going to bother with that because this radio comes from another shop. I'm only going to work on the 8-track section. I'm not going to mess with any of the electronics except to add that wire for the aux. But so at any rate, that's just some of the things that that I would have done that the other shop didn't. Oh, another thing is this is the original tape head preamp. I always replace it with my own special design preamp because it sounds much brighter and it helps to compensate for headwear. The way it is right now, I'm going to go ahead and fire this unit up and show you a couple of things here. Okay, let's fire it up. They did do a nice job, installing the electronics. I wouldn't have used stranded wire. I always use solid wire. Stranded wire tends to fray, and I really don't like to use stranded wire for this low voltage stuff. They also left quite a bit of bare wire exposed. I have to say, again, I don't like to run down my predecessors, but I would have done a much neater job. Not to say that I haven't made my own mistakes, but I would just not really, they left this switch completely unwired. They removed all the original wiring. This is a switch that I used to select between the 8-track and the aux input, depending on whether a tape is inserted or not. When I wire up the switch, anytime there's no tape inserted, you can plug a signal into the aux input and it'll automatically go through the radio. They didn't wire up the switch, so that's not an option. This customer has no... Oh my God, they didn't even put the freaking built-in Bluetooth mic on there. The only... No, those holes are clear all the way through. They didn't even bother to put a freaking built-in Bluetooth microphone. Nope, it's not installed. So the only option the customer has for a microphone is to use the external microphone, which is on a 9-foot cable. You have to run it around corners and under rugs and stuff like that. Customers usually don't want to do that, unless they're driving a convertible and they need to overcome the wind noise. So there is so much stuff about this that I would have done differently, and because the conversion was done by another shop, one thing I absolutely hate to do is work on a unit that's been worked on by another shop, because 6 months down the road, if something goes wrong, which shop does the customer call? Which shop is responsible for the warranty repair? So I'm only going to do stuff to the 8-track section. Anything that happens to the radio electronics is not going to be my problem. I'm going to test it again when, I'm going to fully test it, when I send it back out. But, and, okay, also we've got the original motor. That may be a new belt, but this is the original motor. And so let's just go ahead and turn this thing on. Let me plug the antenna in so we can make sure the radio is working. I'll show you that I've fixed the track change problem on the 8-track function. Okay, turn the radio on. Okay, so we know the radio's working. I'm going to leave that song because I'll get nailed for copyright. Let's put it on something. Talk radio or...
Really worth the potential risk. Closing
talk radio
arguments
safe.
beginning in the Kim Potter manslaughter trial in Minnesota.
Okay, so I'm going to adjust the
she
balance.
told the jury on Friday that she didn't want to hurt anybody and that she shouted a warning about using her taser. Potter
Okay,
said
so
she
I've got the
mistook her gun
balance
for her taser when
adjusted
she
for
shot
equal
and killed
output
20-year-old Dante Wright.
on
Congressional
all
Democrats
speed for
left
the most part.
scrambling after Senator Joe Manchin announces he will not support President Biden's social spending agenda.
Okay, that's reasonably
This
balanced.
is ABC
So
News.
let's pop
Just
this tape
days
in.
after the deadly
And another thing, you see when I pop the tape in, that belt's probably going to snap right off because it's a little bit out of alignment now, and that's another reason for the new motor. So let's see if this belt will stay on. Okay, it stayed on this time. So you can see the built-in head, the tape head. There's not much output on the right side. Let's judge that for equal output. So you can't really get a whole lot of volume out of the 8-track because if you want to adjust it for equal volume, well, the right side's just about dead. So let's change tracks. Okay, now when we pull the tape out, you'll notice that it's complete silence. It's going to take 20 seconds for the radio to come back on. I'm going to fix that, but we'll just wait for the radio to come back on. It'll probably be really loud because we had to crank the tape up really loud. Patience, patience, patience. There we go.
At Walgreens, we know the joy of the holiday season.
Now we had the
also has
8-track
its
adjusted
moments,
for equal
like when
output
it
on both
turns
sides.
into
When we go back to the radio, look what we got.
or the battery
So we got to
never coated
readjust that
season.
balance control.
Every year, this holiday season, Walgreens makes it easy.
Okay, so this head's pretty worn. I would recommend replacing the head. You can see it's got a lot of wear on it. It's tilted at kind of a crazy angle to get the azimuth sounding decent. So I would recommend replacing the head. I have to replace the motor. There's no choice. I'm not going to send this unit out with a 50-year-old motor that has an 80% failure rate. So I haven't yet decided what I'm going to charge this customer for this, and I'll probably just offer him a list of options with varying degrees of expense depending on how much he wants done. And I also have to factor in what I'm not willing to do because I'm not real impressed with the wiring here, and I don't, short of taking everything back out and doing the whole job over again, I'm just going to have to try to work around what's there. I really don't want to. I just don't want to move all this crap around. It is currently working, and there's no reason to think that it won't continue to work. It's just that this comes from another shop. I don't want to end up bearing the warranty responsibilities for the crappy wiring. The only way I can avoid that is to completely redo the whole job, charge the customer an ungodly amount of money for it, because it's going to be more expensive to redo it than it was to do it, because I have to untangle a bunch of crap here. But at any rate, I've given the customer an idea of what all I found wrong with this unit, what I recommend doing with it. Obviously the radio is working fine, the amplifier is working fine, it's just the 8-track that needs quite a bit of attention. So I'll stop there, and needless to say, I'll probably demonstrate this unit when I've finished all the work. I just need to decide what I'm willing to take a risk on here, because when you got a radio that's been worked on by 2 shops, when it comes down to when it breaks down, it can be a real nightmare. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm just going to eliminate any responsibility to myself for the wiring job and the installation. I'm just going to pretty much work on the 8-track section and get that fixed up. And so this video is mainly so the customer can see what all I found wrong. It's not that I want to make another shop look bad. That's why I'm not saying who that shop is. But again, I'm not going to pass up the chance to show that I can do better work on the 8-track section than this shop was able to do. So thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys next time.